come with Cincinnati Socialist Alternative. While I was able to participate in the sit-in at Rob Portman's office, I wasn't able to join Megan and our comrades.
Woo! Mary was there!
Thanks, Mary. So as many of you already know, the U.S. has the highest healthcare spending in the world, yet 30 million Americans still have no health insurance at all.
Shame.
That number was 45 million before the ACA was passed. And despite expanding coverage, 30 million are still uninsured. And let's be clear about why that is. You know, our politicians, they promised us a path to universal health care, just like the path to citizenship, the path to clean energy. But we don't need a path to health care. All of these paths have been a dead end for working people, for millions of people. You know, healthcare should be guaranteed, universally funded, should be a human right, instead of being subjected to the whims of insurance providers and corporate lobbyists.
Yes! Yes.
So under the current system, millions of those, even with insurance, are underinsured. You know, effectively are unable to access care because of high deductibles, large co-payments, and the cost of prescription drugs. Illness and medical bills contribute to half of all U.S. bankruptcies. U.S. prescription drugs are the highest in the world. So seniors are cutting their pills in half to ration their prescriptions. People are delaying care. They're not filling their prescriptions for fear of these costs. So all of this serves to prop up profits of Big Pharma and the private insurers. And the Senate version of this Trump care was supposed to be the Republican bill with more heart, quote unquote. But the Congressional Budget Office predicts over 20 million Americans would lose their health insurance. So make no mistake, this bill will result in the death of tens of thousands of Americans with treatable illnesses who will never receive care. So at its core, Trump care is a massive transfer of wealth from the poorest to the very richest Americans, achieved mainly by cutting hundreds of billions from Medicaid, totaling $1 trillion over the next 10 years. And let's remember why we support Medicaid. 20% of Americans, a total of 75 million people, including millions of children, elderly, and disabled adults, receive Medicaid benefits. Eliminating Medicaid as we know it is the main reason over 20 million people and 32 million people by 2026 would return to the ranks of the uninsured over the next 10 years. And worse yet, they may be paying for insurance. If it is too expensive to use, it would leave them sicker and even poorer. So defeating Trump care in Congress would be a huge blow to the Republican agenda, but it will not, unfortunately, prevent the Trump administration from using its executive powers to undermine the precarious balancing act, which is Obamacare. Democrats in the House and in the Senate have correctly attacked Trump care as an effective political wedge, against the Republicans in the 2018 midterms, but we shouldn't be limiting ourselves to what is acceptable to the Democrats and their corporate donors. Huge pressure from below is already bringing some Democratic legislators to support single payer, but this is still only half of the House Democrats, and more importantly, none of their key national leaders except for Sanders. In California, Democratic Party Governor Jerry Brown is standing in the way of passing single payer. Trump care must be defeated and replaced by a Medicare for all single payer type plan, which eliminates the private insurers and covers everyone regardless of income, employment, or legal status. The Trump care can be defeated by a serious campaign on this basis, including well-organized and escalating tactics like the Portman sit-in, where myself and 8 others risked arrest by occupying Portman's Cincinnati office overnight, demanding a vote against the Senate bill. And these tactics laid the basis. These tactics and escalating tactics laid the basis for more widespread workplace action, including strikes within the healthcare working sector, such as the nurses union, and all who want to see the Republican agenda and this reactionary administration defeated must step up to this fight. The coming weeks will be a critical battle with the Trump administration, and our task is to build a working class movement that can win Medicare for all, a nationwide $15 minimum wage, and empower working people to fight for a transformative socialist program toward a society based on the needs of the billions and not the billionaires. Right. Medicare for all single-payer system, tax the rich to pay for universal health care, free universal health care, massive overhaul of our nation's infrastructure on the basis of renewable energy, free college for independent candidates who refuse to take a dime in corporate cash and use their positions to build movements of workers, youth, and the oppressed to fight in our interest against the billionaire class. Woo!
We want to just go ahead and open the floor.
Is anybody that wants to speak? I want to emphasize that we'd like people